education for little ones and the grown ones. So our topic today is homelessness. We are joined by Officer Moore. Thank you so much for joining us today, Officer Moore.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with about this really important issue. Now, you are fairly well known around the clean area about your real advocacy and real passion towards homelessness. So could you share a little bit about why you became a police officer and why you decided to work with the homeless population specifically?
Well, believe it or not, I was a teacher before I was a police officer. Used to teach high school chemistry, and a lot of people like, "Man, you're a police officer now? Like, what was the change?" Well, some things happened when I was teaching, and you felt helpless. And then, how can I make a bigger impact? I ended up coming home. I'm from Killeen, and then opportunity presented itself to join the Killeen Police Department. And because of some of the things that I witnessed as a teacher, I felt like I could make the biggest impact being a police officer. But then more specifically with Killeen, I wanted to be a police officer here because it's a city that raised me. So I wanted to give back a certain way, and this is the best way I knew how. But as far as the homeless community, ironically enough, we had Chief Kimball who came in 2017, and he has he has a way of suggesting things without suggesting it. And the commander that I had at the time, he's like, they drive around the city, and you kind of like just take in what you see in city of Killeen. And we saw a growing homeless population. So how can we address that? So they put it out there, say, hey, we're thinking about doing a homeless outreach team. Man, I was like, I'm always in the community anyway. I was like, well, let me do this. And I put my name in a hat. And I would like to think my bubbly personality helped me get it. But yeah, I got it, and took it and run with it. So I did get kind of fooled a little bit. And what I mean by that is I thought it was going to be like, all right, here you go, Kyle. This is how you do it. No, it was like, all right, don't mess up. So it's
like, all right, you go figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, that's definitely how my family raised me. It's like, oh, that's a good idea. Go figure it out. You go fix it.
Yeah.
And I definitely hear you on being a teacher. I'm a former teacher myself. Kindergarten.
Okay.
When I did 15 boys, 5 girls, pure mayhem. And,
oh wow. Okay.
It's like herding cats, or in my case, kittens.
There you go. There you go.
Also, I think great training for politics, especially for the Texas State Senate.
Okay, hey, it prepares you. You can talk to a kid with a tantrum. I guess you could do the same thing in politics.
It's like, okay, Mr. or Senator, go in the corner, have your temper tantrum. You can come out of timeout later.
Yeah.
But could you explain what you learned about the kind of situations that lead to folks becoming homeless?
I mean, realistically, I say this everywhere I go. Anybody can be homeless, and I can't stress that more. A lot of times people will drive by cities like in Austin or in some, I guess here in Killeen too now, you'll see people under the bridges walking the streets, and not to stereotype people, just because you're walking on the street doesn't mean you're homeless. That being said, people associate homelessness with those individuals, when in reality, man, it's your teachers, it's your professional people, it's some people, sometimes you never know what somebody's situation is. You may have somebody who's going from hotel to hotel. Well, technically you're homeless because don't have an established residence. But I always try to portray that and try to kill some of the, lack of better words, try to kill some of the stereotypes that people associate with homelessness. Now, homelessness does have its things that are associated with it. However, everybody is not, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. Everybody is not, like I said, which just your stereotypical view of what homelessness, but you have mental health issues, you have financial, spiritual. I mean, sometimes people are a death in the family away from, losing focus, whatnot. So, and you see these everything I've mentioned, from A to Z is what I've experienced just in a short period of time doing this.
Oh yeah, because I don't remember who originally said it, but I once heard someone say that we're all closer to becoming homeless than we are to becoming the next Jeff Bezos.
I would definitely agree with that.
Because we're all 1 or 2 bad days away. realistically, especially when safety nets do not exist. I mean, that's why we have safety nets in terms of housing, in terms of jobs and unemployment, particularly with COVID-19. Like I have noticed once the pandemic hit and the economy shut down for a bit, I've seen a lot more homeless folks in the Killeen area. You know, I drive to Killeen every single day. I'm in Killeen basically every single day. That's where the campaign office is.
I
And
got you.
yeah, I mean, I've noticed a sharp uptick, which is just, you know, it hurts, I suppose. You know, seeing a richest country in the world, um, but we have this issue going on. So what are some of the kinds of services and strategies that we could do from your perspective to really help transition homeless people into housing?
So the biggest thing that I observed with talking with different people and finding out what it is that's got them on on the street or got them in their rut. A lot of times it's the simplest thing and we take it for granted. Those who, I guess you say, have houses or have a place to go to or a safety net, is identification. I mean, that to me, outside of a homelessness, get it, outside of outside of what's got them homeless, identification to me is the one of the biggest issues. Just think about it. Can you do anything without being able to prove who you are? I mean, you can go to the hospital and they can take care of you because they have an obligation to do it, but then get out of the hospital and try to go get those medical records. You know what I'm saying? So identification with employment, housing, all of these different things is that was our main focus. So developing a program, and I'm not going to say that I came up with the idea. I'm a firm believer in not reinventing the wheel. We took bits and pieces of homeless outreaches across the state of Texas and in some other states as well, and we kind of made it our own thing. Got our recovery program. We got it from San Antonio, and we kind of just molded that into our own issue. And so basically what we do is we work with those individuals to try to obtain all the documents, legal documents. I mean, we don't circumvent the system, obtain legitimate identification to help get them started. Then we go to housing. Then we go, well, not necessarily housing, but then we go to employment. Then we go to benefits, if that's their route that they have to take. Because reality, not everybody can work a 9 to 5, you know, that whole pull your bootstraps up type deal. There are plenty of people out there that will never work a 9 to 5 because they cannot. Not because they lack of willpower, just because they don't have the mental capacity. That, you know, there's a lot of people with mental health issues that are out on the streets right now. Or how many people have you, and I just use my own family. How many people have you ever had somebody in your family that just ain't right? You know, so everybody in the family knows that they're not right, but then you'll have a situation where they can't stay with me, because I got kids, or because of whatever reason they can't stay with you. Well, where do they end up? You know, they end up in our shelters, they end up in our jails, they end up on the streets, the people that you see on the corner. So it's a complex issue as far as, and I know I kind of delve into that mental health. That's a huge issue, not just in the state of Texas, but across the nation. As far as our programs go, we try to, and if we do identify somebody with mental health issues, obviously I'm a mental health officer, I failed to mention that, but we try to connect them with the right services. So what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. So I have the luxury, and they've given me the leeway to work with these individuals and develop goals with those specific individuals. So, the problem is a lot of times that I've noticed too doing this is we think we know what they need, from looking at them, or not even, that's just human nature, I guess. Oh, you need a place to stay. Well, sometimes people don't need a place to stay. They need a rehab facility. They need a group home facility. They need something. But if you don't talk to these individuals, and sometimes more than once, all the time, more than once, it's hard to figure out exactly what that is.
Oh yeah, we got to treat them like people, like individuals.
Absolutely.
is in, I was even thinking back, this is real early on in the campaign, well before the pandemic hit. I went to the homeless shelter, one
Mm-hmm.
of the homeless shelters here in Killeen, and I was talking to this gentleman. He's a veteran, and he was telling me, he used to have, 3 cars and motorcycle and a house, but then he just had, health issue after health issue after health issue. And given how broken our healthcare system is, both physical and mental health, it
Mm-hmm.
bankrupted him. And even in our country, there are, I think, if I remember right, there's $81 billion in medical debt, and medical debt is actually one of the number of leading causes to bankruptcy. So, what every like we all recognize that we are, one of these days we're going to have something bad happen to us physically, medically. We're going to, one of these days we're going to have a heart attack or get cancer. We all recognize that's inevitable part of life, but it's
Yeah.
never today, it's always later, until it very suddenly isn't. I had someone in my family real recent had a stroke. Thankfully they caught it extremely early, because strokes run on that side of the family. They know what to look for. They saw the moment they saw one warning sign, they're like, oh, you're going to ER right now. um, and they caught it very soon. But imagine if they didn't catch it soon, you have a stroke, and then suddenly you can't really work anymore because he was a mechanic. You kind of need your body fully functioning, and you need to have
Yeah.
strength to be a mechanic. So would lost his job if um, if he depended on how, and then if that when he loses a job, then it spirals. So part of it is definitely just really reforming our healthcare system to make sure that health and medical debt is not a cause for anyone to lose their home, or because, and also with mental health, I do believe we have to treat mental health no differently than physical health. In my mind, they're equally as important. You can't, it's not either or, you have to have both.
I agree. I mean,
Hmm.
I agree. It's and homelessness just only compounds the problem. I mean, your life expectancy goes down if you don't have a place to stay. Like, if you're on the streets, your health risks go up, obviously, because you're in the elements, you're in the cold, you're in the heat.
Hmm.
You have no ability to rest properly, so all these things is little things that all add up, um,
Hmm.
to make it a big issue.
Yeah. Actually, so we just got a really excellent question from the chats. This is from Kristen. This is a comment that we're taking live. Really excellent question is, does Officer Moore know where to find, does Officer Moore find there are enough effective mental health services available for those in need?
The answer to that question is no, but that's
Hmm.
not just here in Killeen. That's, like I said, that's just an issue across the state of Texas. Um, I work off duty at Advent Health, and I see when individuals who have mental health crises come in, and it's no slight against the hospital because they can only do so much,
Hmm.
but the spacing and the services that are available, readily available, are limited. If you have, you know, I'll give you an example. You have 10 beds at the hospital. If all 10 are taken, guess what? Where's the 11th person to go? You have to find somewhere for them to go. Um, but but that question is a problem that's not just here in Killeen. It's across the state of Texas. Now we can
Hmm.
talk about the problem. What is the issue? What is the solution? It's going to be those individuals who propose things, and then I guess the people ultimately, because we have to vote for these individuals, and go from there.
Right. I mean, it's, in my view, is this there's a real issue of funding. Does the state of Texas care enough about its people to invest properly? To me, that's, in my worldview, that's what it is. That we need to make sure we have leaders in the state to really invest locally to help local folks, because um, with the laws the way they are, clean is already really cash strapped because of all the property tax exemptions for veterans. Fully support those, so long, but they need to be funded mandates by the state. They're unfunded mandates, and that's really hurting the whole Killeen Fort Hood metro area from being able to, provide essential services. Which that's a that's a whole topic for another time. And actually, we're doing a town hall for our viewers. We're doing a town hall about property taxes, and I'll be talking exactly about ways we can really fix our property taxes to help clean and to help our communities. But that's going to be next week. the
Okay.
21st, or no, that's 2 weeks from now. So you can tune in for that to learn. See, Officer Moore, when you step back and consider all that you've seen and heard for your work, what do you believe are the top 2 or 3 main things politicians and public leaders need to do to prevent future homelessness?
Um, create. I talked about it once before on my personal page, and I specifically create opportunities for more affordable housing. Uh,
Mhm.
that I know that that's complex, but some of the housing practices that we have keep people in homelessness. You talk about that generational poverty. There's been some ideas that have come out there. However, we live in a capitalistic world. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it boils down to that most people have an idea of trying to get the most return for their investment, correct? So
Mhm.
you're going to have to make that decision. Are you going to want to help people, or do you want to make money? It's hard to do both. Some of the other issues that I've seen, obviously, in mental health facilities and rehab. I had one lady, I had some people in my family that have reached out. Not They told me about addiction, and they told me the one thing that saved them was when they were ready, and they hit, what I mean by ready, when they're rock bottom, when they hit rock bottom, and everybody's rock bottom is different. There was somebody there that had a hand that was able to pull them up and have a solution for them. The problem that I see here, and I'll just speak clean, in our area, not just clean, but clean tip, we don't have enough rehab slash mental health facilities here, because most people don't have any income coming in. Charity beds are limited, because you got government funding. Yeah, I get it. You can't keep the lights on if you just have all free stuff. I get that. So there's got to be a balance in between both. And then the last thing, well, not one of the last thing, employment's one of them, opportunities, but I would say housing opportunities for those who have messed up. You know, people that have multiple evictions for whatever reason, people that have criminal records, criminal background. Um, I've seen that more here. And what's crazy is that like being a police officer, a lot of people are taken back when they see me going so hard for somebody who's like fresh out of prison or who has been to jail multiple times. Because what I've seen is sometimes individuals who come out of those situations are so driven and they're so focused, but they are met with so much barriers and roadblocks that sometimes they just give up, and then they go, and that's why the recidivism rate is high, because when they get out, I'm not blaming the system, but I mean, we got to look at ourselves and say, are we going to give these individuals another chance? If not, and I'm not gonna lie, as a police officer, before I started doing the homeless, it didn't register. My mindset and a lot of people's mindset is, well, they shouldn't have broke the law. Oh well, that's their mindset. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that they don't know. But when you're trying to help these individuals, some of these people still have kids, they have families that they have to try to take care of, and then themselves. So trying to help these individuals, that's one thing that I've seen that it needs to be addressed. I can have my solution, my personal opinions on how that can do, but it all boils down to the almighty dollar. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is.
Well, hey, I really do appreciate you joining us today. So basically to recap, and this is kind of where I'm also going to say where I stand on all of this. We do have another question from the chat from Melissa, but we'll address that in a quick second.
Yes, sir.
Um, affordable housing is an absolute critical, it's an absolute must, because when housing is not affordable, basically nothing's affordable. Um, so we have to really incentivize more affordable housing building. We have to make sure we can lower the cost of housing. And I think solar energy could be a very easy part of that. If we can start, where the state can create programs and incentives to install solar panels on a lot of housing and duplexes and complexes, well then, so long as part of the deal is I will help you install this, but you have to lower your rent rates. I mean, I think that could be a win-win and a public-private win-win.
I've actually never heard that. That's actually pretty dope. I like that.
I made that up. I'll pretend I thought of that earlier instead of just right now.
That's pretty dope. I like that.
So, we can do some stuff like that. And and just basically building more housing and more affordable housing. We definitely need to fix our healthcare system. We have to really expand healthcare. We have to make sure medical debt is. I want medical debt to be a thing of the past. My personal opinion is I don't want anyone to go into medical debt, because to me that's just, healthcare is the foundation of freedom, in my opinion. So the more we lay free debt upon that, we complicate things. And this does include mental health. So I do believe that, we need to expand Medicaid, which would tremendously help close the coverage gap and provide healthcare to a lot of folks in the clean metro area. And it will also bring back a lot of property tax dollars, which would be good. And again, we'll talk about that the 21st. And we really need to prioritize create a true system of mental health. Because I remember before times, before COVID-19, I went to Starbucks and I saw posters about, PTSD and suicide prevention, like on the bulletin. And that's the only place I've ever seen those posters inside Starbucks. It doesn't matter if I go to Austin or Houston or Tyler or Lubbock or wherever, only in the clean Fort Hood metro area do you see those. So it's, mental health is a particular issue, especially here with our veteran community, with those who served, and frankly, in my opinion, those who served and then we've forgotten about, which is absolutely unacceptable, in my opinion. We also need to, as you said, second chance opportunities for jobs and for housing. I do support what's called the Texas Fair Justice Act, and that will help address this. Is where, look, if someone truly wants to do good by society, like if they reform their ways and they want to redeem themselves, I do believe anyone who in good faith wants to redeem themselves should have that right to do so. They should have the right to prove themselves and to live a dignified life. So, if you made a mistake, you served your time, you should be able to get a good place to stay. You should be able to get a good job. And speaking of good jobs, just last night we had a town hall about bringing renewable energy jobs here to the clean Fort Hood metro area. With the immense veteran talent here, we could really turn this into a manufacturing hub for wind turbine parts and solar panels, and then export those using the I-14 corridor out to West Texas. So that would be immediate good paying jobs. And even that, someone, Miss Hasbury asked a question like, well, would felons be able to get those jobs? Absolutely. Those would be perfect jobs. Pays a good living wage, then they can get good housing and they can really, live a dignified life. Because I think at the end of the day, that's all that we really want. And just really, as you mentioned the word generational poverty or general poverty, and that is an issue we have to address. But we did get quite a few comments right as I was monologuing for a bit. So I wanted to make sure we get to those. This is a good one. This is from Melissa. Do we have enough drug and alcohol dependency support, like meetings that are available when and where people need them?
As far as I know, I've through the shelter, they provide that information at all of our shelters here, and then through some of our clinics that we have, the Greater Free Clinic. I may be saying that wrong. Forgive me, clean. Our public health district. I would say I don't know the exact number of different programs, but I would say that the information is out there, and if you want to go, there is room for those individuals to go there.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Well, again, Officer Moore, looks like our time for the show is about to end. Do you have any final thoughts, any wrap-up things?
No, I just I love what I do. I love get opportunity to get back here to clean. Those individuals, if you do want to reach out, obviously you can reach out to myself at the Clean Police Department Homeless Outreach Team, and then yeah, we'll see. We're still making stuff work and still moving around. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Well, hey, I want to thank you for everything you've done for the community, from your time as a teacher, which, I mean, instant respect for all teachers, particularly chemistry teachers. I have a softness in my heart for chemistry. My grandfather was a pharmacist, so
okay.
Everyone in my family knows chemistry. I'm actually the one person who didn't go into sciences or engineering or anything. I'm the weird one in the family. Like, I'm going to go into teaching in politics, and they're like, why? But again, I really do appreciate you, Officer Moore, and everything you're doing. wish all continues going well. And for everyone who's watching this, if you like what you heard, go to tuckerfortexas.com. You can learn a bit more about what I stand for, such as what I think about affordable housing or the Texas Fair Justice Act, which will give people second chances. Because as I said, I believe anyone who in good faith wants to redeem themselves in society should absolutely have that right to do so. So again, go to tuckerfortexas.com to learn more, and I appreciate y'all.